Hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from the biblicalnutritionist.com. And today we're talking about Alzheimer's, dementia, brain fog, and why this is not an old person disease anymore. Because most of us have had someone close to us dealing with brain fog, dementia, or Alzheimer's. And it's not what we want to go through, but yet there are things that you can do. Before we get started, thank you for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health. And it always includes understanding how much God loves you with a real, personable love. And He loved you from the moment of conception. And He loves you today, tomorrow, and forever. So be sure and check out my website, thebiblicalnutritionist.com. If you want to understand more about God's love, it is fully available to you. All right, welcome, Dr. J. It is such a delight to have you here again today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Always my pleasure, always. If we were in the same state, we could just do this over a cup of tea and just have the camera right there and enjoy it. Introduce us into the topic of Alzheimer's, dementia, brain fog. We all want to avoid it, yet so many are dealing with this.
All the levels of cognitive function. Again, from just simple, just you want to be sharper mentally, being able to think of that word the second you want to be able to think of it, all the way down the slippery slope towards the dementias and the Alzheimer's. They all have similar pathways. All right. So we're going to be talking about this in a broad sense of just overall cognitive function. Now, my philosophy, I love whenever the treatment, the suggestion, the solution, the action steps, no matter what, leave you healthier. That's a beautiful. Anytime you can go and implement a protocol that whether it does or doesn't do what you wanted to do, you end up healthier in the end. Okay, we that's a win-win scenario. And what we are finding is if you want to maintain and maintain high cognitive function or prevent decline, there's a few key areas. And I want to say this as well. So Alzheimer's especially is growing rapidly. So for instance, nursing homes, I mean, you are seeing every single community out there is starting to see these memory care centers that are being built just for this issue. Over the years, as you know, since my career, and I've been at this a couple decades now, 20, 25, 30 years ago, when I got started, the number one reason for admission into a nursing home was arthritis. That was the number one reason. So because of the arthritis, you had lost the ability to take care of yourself. Alzheimer's, from the latest research I saw, Alzheimer's just passed. And it is now not the number one reason why our aging population is losing their independence later in life. And you mentioned this already. It's such a tragedy when this does happen in our families, and it happens to loved ones, and then when it happens to the whole family. I don't think anybody wants that to be their legacy. I don't think any of us want that to be our story. And I don't know about you all, but I don't ever want to be that kind of burden to my children, to my spouse, to anyone. I want to stay strong, right up to the end. And I think, if those of you watching, if you've made it this far, you probably want that too. So what I want to get into today is there's beautiful research out there, really, really beautiful research of what is preventing that cognitive decline. And it's multifactorial, which is why no one thing has nailed it. Again, I bet as I go through the different points today, you're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that years ago. We've nailed different pieces over the years, but the thing that I finally really understood it, and I didn't find this. Brilliant people, brilliant people have done the work and the research, and I've just been able to glean their wisdom. But it really made sense whenever they brought to the conference, and they're like, no, it can be multifactorial. It doesn't have to be just one thing, like heavy metal toxicity. That was a big one 10, 15 years ago. Yes, well, that's a piece of it. There's actually about six that they dive into. And I'm going to hit the top ones as we go through. So just kind of diving in, inflammation. We are hearing a lot about inflammation, and inflammatory based cognitive decline is absolutely on the rise. Now, what we have done is we have designed blood panels to be able to tell us, is this an issue for you? Kind of yes or no. Because if you're just going to do a total cognitive, like if you're just going to try to do it all, it can be a bit overwhelming. You need to know which ones are the issue for you specifically. So we test for your inflammation. We run those specific markers. I really love CRP and ESR. They're two really, really great tests that just not getting run a lot by your doctors. They're definitely not run in your annual physical. A typical annual physical does not have these numbers in it. So that's why we have to special order them to be able to see that inflammation. And again, I think a lot of people can recognize and say, yeah, I think I may be dealing with some inflammation, but we can know for sure, based on the tests. We are absolutely seeing nutritional deficiencies. So specifically your B vitamins, your vitamin C, and your vitamin D. Those are really critical markers that have to be measured. Your B vitamins, all of these, they're part of what your neurological system, the nerves, the pathways, the central nervous system, they're the building blocks. So you have to constantly, and there's a lot of turnover. So you always need to have reserves of these nutritional vitamins. So we test for them. We test for your vitamin D. We test for your B vitamins, your B12. The one that is very interesting that I didn't put two and two together until all of this research came out is what they call glycotoxic. So this is where your sugar levels, your glucose, your hemoglobin A1C, or some people refer to or been told they're insulin resistant. This is a factor. Now, it kind of makes sense. Anybody who's like ever been hypoglycemic or ever had their sugar, spike, you don't feel this, you don't feel as sharp. I mean, this just makes total sense. You don't even make as good decisions when you feel your sugar being off. So it does, like whenever they said that, I'm like, oh, well, that makes a world of sense. So just monitoring and regulating. You don't need, and we're not talking about you have to have type 2 diabetes or full-on hypoglycemia. It's just keeping that nice and regulated on a day in, day out basis is what we're finding with the glycotoxic. And then, of course, we're talking, now this is the one I mentioned before, the different heavy metals. We've certainly seen that. Now, this one became near and dear. My mentor, who I was so blessed to be mentored by an amazing, amazing doctor in his 80s. And he started to have some cognitive decline, especially towards the end. And as we were doing a lot of the research, getting into understanding where was this coming from, because he was a man who knew a lot about health. And what was it? And we ended up, as we dove in, that from his years in the Merchant Marine back in 19-aught, he was exposed to a lot of heavy metals, and that was a big factor, and working backwards to try to do a lot of that detoxification. So I've seen that one firsthand of what some heavy metals can do. Another factor, big one, and this is getting worse, is vascular disease. Again, it makes sense. If you don't get good blood support, you're not getting good blood support to even your brain. You're not transferring your nutrients well. You're not getting the essential nutrients from the gut to the nerves to keep rebuilding. So supporting the vascular system. And then one of the last ones that is very evident is just dealing with any kind of like physical trauma. Obviously, physical traumas have had effects on cognitive function, and getting the appropriate care and appropriate help there. And that's something that almost has to be dealt with on a one-on-one basis to go through. But once all of the research started piling in and seeing, while some people may have one or two of these, some people may have three, you need to know which ones are an issue for you, address them before they ever become a disease process. And in that, you will feel the sharpness, you'll feel the cognition coming back, and you're going to be healthier because you worked on your cardiovascular system, because you worked on your sugar levels, and because you got your nutrients in.
So true. So these are definitely the top 6 causes of the brain fog, dementia, and the Alzheimer's. So let's take them. I can see by many of the ones that you suggested, the inflammation is the CRP and the ESR, and then the nutritional deficiency. We can definitely test for that as well. And then you're already testing for the glucose and the A1C and heavy metals. So all of this, it appears from what I'm hearing you say, we can test. I mean, physical trauma, I mean, you just usually, most people admit that they've had it, but after working with Dr. Daniel Amen, he's like, no, people don't always remember that they've had physical trauma, especially brain trauma. And so sometimes you have to think back, is like, oh, that's right. As a child, I did. Or in my high school years, yeah, I played football or I played soccer. I did the headbutting. It's like, yeah, that does play into this. So I like that your blood panels that you have specifically put together on purpose to help discover this early is a good solution, is a good step for people to take. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And that's why we designed it that way, because we wanted as many individuals, whether you were thinking about it or not, we're thinking about it for you. And we know that if you want to have vitality and longevity and have high quality of life, mental cognition, being sharp, is a big part of that. So we built it in from the beginning. So whether you ask for it or not, we are going to be looking at these factors for you as we're working and we're going through.
Right. And I so appreciate that. So for those of you who are in the States and you want to take advantage of that, we'll put a link to it down below. For those of you who are prefer to go with your own doctor, she has given specific tests that you can have done. So make note of the CRP, the ESR, the vitamin panel that she mentioned. Pay attention to your sugar levels with the A1C and the glucose, and some of the other tests that you can have your doctor do. If you're not sure what panels to have done, you can, if you insist on using your own doctor, we totally respect that. Just, get those specific tests done. We have to know where you are with your vitamin D level. So after blood panels, what's the next step that they need to do to prevent this or to help overcome it before it gets to a point where we can't turn it around?
That's it. So you finding out which areas are the areas for you and start working on the protocols associated with those areas. And again, it's this is also why the earlier you can start, the better, because if you wait till you have 4 or 5 of these factors that are quite out of control, this can be very consuming. So the earlier you start, the easier it is. And, I mean, and you, again, working with your physicians, working with your doctor, or working with some of our team, whoever it is, get the information, get what you need, and get started as soon as possible, because you're going to notice the results right away. I mean, you are going to feel better now, and then save yourself from years and your family. I mean, this is more than just about, I want to feel better right now. This is about what you can do for your family in the long run.
I so agree. I so agree. And what we mean by this is happening at younger ages, we are actually seeing children, teenagers, young adults that are already starting to show signs. And so we need to drastically turn this ship around and start seeing life differently, seeing it in a way that we're anticipating the healing, we're working for the healing, as opposed to giving up and just giving in to whatever is put in front of you. And so I would highly recommend just paying attention, becoming aware of what you're eating, and then after you do your blood panels. And then lastly, I would say we talked about nutritional deficiencies. One of the best ways to correct nutritional deficiencies is with the Bible diet. And I talk briefly about that in my free download, 7 Steps to Amazing Biblical Health. I highly recommend that. And it's free, as I said, and it's going to start you on the Bible diet, but it's also going to address what do you believe about who you are and how you were created in the image of Christ. It's going to talk about that too. So they are 7 steps. Don't rush the steps. If you do this in one day, I will know you're not going to get results. But if you do it over a span of 2 weeks, you're going to see the results. And so definitely check that out, the Bible diet. And then lastly, Dr. Jay Hitson and I are going to be at the Biblical Wellness Retreat coming up in October 2024. Check out the link down below. It's limited seating, which means I shouldn't be announcing this on YouTube because you're going to fill it up overnight. But check it out. And I hope to see you there, because then we can talk in face to face, and we can sit down and we can chat and we can share what all is possible. So Dr. Jay Hitson's going to be sharing several times during our retreat. I will as well, plus many other great speakers. We're going to cover it all, and we're going to help you to understand how ancient flavors can help us heal today's challenges. So a lot of great wisdom is going to be shared at that event. And if it's already past that time, then sign up for the wait list for the next retreat. It's all about recognizing that God created us for a purpose, and you were created for a purpose. You have a mission to fulfill, and it's greater than you can ever imagine with what God has put together for you. But we need our health to fulfill that mission. And so that's why I'm here. That's why Dr. Jay Hitson is here. That's why she's put together very precise blood panels, so that we can get to the root of the issue and not just skim over and say, oh, you're fine, you're within normal range. We aren't looking for normal range. We're looking for optimal health. We're looking to be our best and our strongest, and that means our mind as well. Again, Dr. Jay Hitson, thank you for joining us and sharing with us such pertinent information.
Thank you for having me.
Always my pleasure. And for the rest of you, thank you for joining us. And be sure and hit like, subscribe, and the bell so we can stay connected as part of the Biblical Nutritionist family. And if you haven't already, go to my website and get that free download, 7 Steps to Amazing Biblical Health. And until next time, remember, God loves you.
Hello, I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist, and I'm excited to personally invite you to our Biblical Wellness Retreat, October 3rd through the 5th. In 3 John, it says, I pray you may prosper and be in good health. Well, today's families are struggling with cancer, diabetes, autoimmune issues, viruses, learning issues, infertility, and so much more. Where is the answer to being in good health? In John 15:16, it says these words, whatever you ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. I know you're praying for answers, and I know you're praying for health. Well, my team and I are here to help you see the answers that God has given. The foods that help the body to heal, the design of the cells, and why different foods bring healing and other foods do not. We even have Dr. Jay Hitson coming to share about the inside view of the blood and why that matters so much in our body when we're healthy and when we're not. All of this is to bring you answers that you're praying for at a retreat so you can have fun, you can learn, you can spend time praying, but also we always have fun, food, and fellowship. When you're ready to reclaim your health, join us at the Biblical Wellness Retreat this October 3rd through the 5th, and we have very limited seats, so please don't delay. Click the link down below.